When I first met my now husband, I wasn't sure that Ian took Judaism seriously enough for us to work out as a couple. Like many people our age, he didn't belong to a synagogue. I took him to a Torah study session and he fell asleep. And he didn't seem all that interested in prayer, which is a big part of my life. But then, maybe 2 months into dating, it emerged that Ian tithes. He gives 1/10 of his income to charity. And I asked him what inspired him to do that. "Oh," he replied, "I don't know, that's what you're supposed to do." That's what you're supposed to do. It struck me as a profound statement of Jewish values. This is what he had grown up seeing adults do. It's what he felt was essential to being a person who saw the world through a Jewish lens. I realized I had been terribly judgmental and wrong about the centrality of Judaism in Ian's life, because here he was doing this enormous mitzvah, a sacrifice with real impact on his daily life, which I had not ever really considered. Maaser Kesafim is the mitzvah of tithing monetary profits. It originates from a biblical commandment in this week's Torah portion. You can see Numbers 18:21. The Levites, who served at the temple and had no landholding, lived off of tithes, sacrifices, and donations. Israelites are to give 1/10 of their crops to God, who in turn gives these resources to the Levites. And this sequence is important. The Torah makes it clear that Israel owes Maaser to God, not to the Levites or to the temple. And so even after the fall of the temple, Jews are still obligated in Maaser. Only now, Maaser doesn't go to the temple and to its caretakers, rather it goes to Tzedakah. The word Saddaka comes from the root tsadi dalet kuf, meaning righteousness or justice. Tzedakah must go directly toward the immediate material needs of the poor: food, clothing, shelter. According to halakha, the number one priority when allocating tzedakah is paying ransom to redeem captives. We assume that hostages are hungry, thirsty, and in mortal peril. The term maaser comes from the root ayin sin resh, meaning 10. Jewish custom is that those who can give 10 to 20% of originally agricultural and now monetary profit to charity. Some halachists rule that all of Maaser should be tzedakah, money given directly to the needy. Most, however, considered Maaser a broader category that can include other worthy charitable causes, such as cultural and educational institutions, hospitals, centers of scientific research, civil rights organizations, environmental protection. In the modern world, Maaser is generally calculated post-tax and applied to all income, including capital gain, inheritance, and gifts. One cannot use Maaser to pay for the expenses of Jewish personal practice. For example, the costs of Shabbat candles, tefillin, a lulav and etrog, or a child's Jewish education cannot come out of your Maaser. Maimonides ruled that one should spend more on Saddaka than on the trappings of one's personal religious practice. For example, at Purim, one should spend more on matanot le'evyonim, the gifts to the poor, than on the seudah, the festive meal, or mishloach manot, the gifts to one's friends. Rav Asi argued that Saddaka is as important as all of the other commandments put together. Tzedakah is central to Jewish ethics because our tradition recognizes the enormous suffering that poverty causes. By and large, Judaism takes a clear-eyed, unromantic view of poverty. Poverty is physically grueling and spiritually pointless. It doesn't imbue its sufferer with virtue. Rather, the exactions of poverty, malnutrition, chronic illness, impaired cognition, social stress, crushing debt, the strain on family stability, can cause a person to lose their sense of self and sense of their creator. Judaism therefore expects that those of us who are in a position to help alleviate such pain do so. Our Reform forebears taught that while Judaism's ritual commandments are non-compulsory, we are all obligated in the ethical mitzvot. And in my estimation, there is no Jewish commandment more clearly ethical than Saddaka. A Judaism of conscience requires personal sacrifice. Maaser is perhaps the most difficult mitzvah that I have tried to embrace. But I truly believe that if all of humanity approached Saddaka as Jewish tradition calls us to, we would change the world. So let us give. May we reckon honestly with ourselves about our capacity and then give with an open hand and heart. And perhaps if we all did, we might bring about a world of dignity for everybody.